Hello and welcome to the Boostara podcast, where we meet leaders in business and education to uncover truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help companies boost growth, cut costs, and get business insights. If you would like to learn more about how Boostara could help leverage your company, just type the word growth into the comments below, and I'll be sure to reach out. Today, we are joined by the amazing Naama Saar, Deputy CEO of Robo Group. Hello, Naama.
Hey, how are you?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Beautiful day outside here.
And it's great being here, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I suppose for me, looking and kind of researching about you, Naama, I see you're quite the I would say the celebrity a little bit in the AI world. I kind of feel like, um, but for those that are not familiar with yourself, with your work, could you just give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself and the journey of how you've got to where you are today?
Great. So yes, it's been quite a journey, very diversified. Most of my business life, I was in the technology and services segments. I was lucky to be involved in the global market from very early stages, so got exposed to many things. I'm as old as the debate of should we move to Windows from DOS? Yes, sorry. Then the debate on web services and the move to the internet, and now the debate over data and how we change our life and AI. I remember that from very early stages when I was sitting in lectures, they were talking about the increase of knowledge in the world, and they show graphs of how fast knowledge is growing in the world. And I was thinking to myself, come on, what's the problem? So we will read a bit more articles. But lately I'm starting to understand that a flow of information and knowledge is as bad as having no access to knowledge, because both are creating situation where you feel unsafe and where you don't know how to take the next steps as a leader, as a manager, as a business owner. Mm-hmm. I've done a tour in technology and services and built a very nice holding company from scratch that reached to a volume of 6,000 people in 10 sites. So my cultural experience is really rich. And when I came back to Israel, this is where I live, I decided to join a big data company. This company was really innovative because it used GPU as accelerator to the business and build business models that are able to process data and short processes from a couple of hours, sometimes even days, into minutes. We were hoping that with the jump of NVIDIA and NVIDIA becoming at the first line of business in the world, this startup will also enjoy the glory. But it didn't happen so, unfortunately. But during that time, I understood the mechanic of what's big data is about, how we can change our thinking on big data, and what is the foundation for AI. These days, I'm in the edtech industry, and here there is a big debate of how AI should invade or being introduced to the education system. There are various of thoughts and various of ideas around it. Some are debating which tools should give students at their journey. Some debate safety and keeping data safe, specifically of kids during their learning journey, which is a big hazard. Some think about how AI can change the education system. And this is where we are today.
Mm.
AI enables personalization. AI enables to look at individual in the crowd being based on knowledge and patterns that you collect from the crowd and then adjust it to the individual needs, pace, and learning habits. And I think this is what is fascinating me today, taking this part of AI and like they do in medicine, where they are now being able to adjust specific treatment to your DNA and to your situation. The dream is to enable every student to learn in an ecosystem of his own age, very diverse ecosystem, but still being able to give every student the chance to live, to learn, and to be great according to his or her capabilities and skills.
That's a fantastic introduction, Naama. I mean, going off of that, you remind me of something I heard a little while ago. It literally about healthcare. What you mentioned there, that often the problem with healthcare is it is too generalized, and there's actually a massive divide between, say, treating the heart condition, and the way that the male heart and female heart should be treated upon should be very different, because the actual structure and the makeup and everything is a little bit different, but yet the actual the symptoms, all of the diagnosis, all of the operation is done in a pathway of treating a man's heart rather than a woman's heart, and the same for all sorts of different conditions, because it's too generalized and actually specific to one sort of generic clientele set person. I think we can probably understand education in the same way, right? It's too generalized, and I think that's the amazing opportunity of AI, is that it can be hyper personalized, right? When we consider learning styles, learning methods, their own learning history as well, students that may have missed some parts of their education, how should then their education, upcoming education, be tweaked to cater for that? Um, Going back of what you said at the very beginning there, you said you're old enough to know different debates. It's interesting because a few of our past speakers have mentioned the calculator, that they're old enough to remember the debate about whether we should be teaching students to use a calculator, allow them to use calculators in the classroom. I guess, do you think AI is the same? Like we definitely should be allowing students to use AI. We should be teaching them to use AI, or is it more complicated, more nuanced than that?
Yeah, I think that there are a few things that we can no longer resist or fight. Kids are being born today into a completely different world. If you take 1 year old, 1.5 year old, they operate the smartphone.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. They can get to their song. They are learning the way to activate YouTube or whatever it is that they like in the smartphone. It is easy and it is configured to the way that they think. It's one action lead to another action, lead to another action, and there is an immediate reflection of if they did right or they did wrong. So telling students, even this year and few years ahead, to leave ChatGPT outside of the learning environment, not to look at their smartphone. This is a lost war from my perspective. These are knowledge sources, and there is a lot of work to be done, and harder work, if you ask me, to sort out the amount of knowledge that is available today to kids and students, and to turn them into wisdom, to turn them into competencies, to turn them into skills that we lead these students forward. In a way, our work in the past was much simple, right? We sat in class, the teacher taught us mathematics. He taught us in the same way 20 years that he learned and he mastered. He knew everything. He knew also the exams.
Yeah.
And life was very predicted. But now nothing is predicted in our world. We wake up with all kind of surprises and all kind of new things that are introduced to our life. We need to teach our students, our kids, how to sort out the information, what are the values and the things that describe a human being in our point of view, and how to gather this enormous amount of information into a path that will turn them at the end of the way into a happy adult, an adult that can take care of themselves, an adult that has skills and competencies that can turn into a meaningful job, and they can raise a family, and they can enjoy life. I think that the AI revolution is here. We cannot stop it.
Yeah.
We can learn to use it, and we need to be, I sympathize the levels of cautious that the education system takes. I believe that the medicine and the legal and all other segments are taking the same kind of precaution while adopting the AI tools. Here, because we're talking about kids that are very easy to influence, and about teachers that having hard time understanding and aligning with all the latest technology, the challenge is even bigger.
Yeah. But that's evolution and change. We don't live in a static world, right? And you remind me of something that's often repeated, that for the children that are studying in schools now, we're preparing them for jobs that do not exist yet. And the same was true for example, when I was a child. Social media influencer, all of these now we take as commonplace kind of technology related roles, jobs, did not exist in the sort of mid to late 1990s. They weren't around. We couldn't have predicted them. So completely disregarding AI and the role that that's going to have in the future is a mistake for the happiness and the welfare of our children to be in, in 20, 30 years time. I guess a good question now, Naama, is in terms of coders and Intelitech, because I believe those are two kind of products related to the Robo Group. How do those fit into the kind of education philosophy that you guys are kind of developing?
So we have been taking a pedagogical path from the beginning, and I will talk about mostly the STEM part of our offering. We now have a STEM to CTE path. STEM is more about science, mathematics, things that are more relevant for the younger ages. CTE is all the vocational training, the mechanical engineering, robotics. What we did is we took a very practical point of view from the STEM education. Our STEM education focus on coding, but it's not coding for coding. It's coding for handling problems, teamwork, a mathematical approach, getting to know robotics, not the nice educational funny robotics, industrial robotics that takes you into understanding the foundation of the future work. So when we look today at our offering and we look at what the Economic Forum, for example, talk, with regards to the skills of the future, with regards of competency, with regards of how can we prepare our kids for a completely unknown future. Because here I will open a comment. Yes, it's true, even when I grew up in those ages, there was a change in the job market, but it's nothing like today, because today we are facing a dramatic change in the workforce, a change that will probably touch every segment that still exist in the job market. So while in the 90s, yes, we heard about high tech, about social, all kind of jobs in the financials were open, but they were added to the job market. They didn't wipe out part of the workforce. Now we are talking about something like the Industrial Revolution back in the early 19th century, that people needs to replace this. It's a completely different world, and a lot of the jobs that we are used to will not exist anymore, and we need new skills and competencies to handle it. So one part of the world needs to be bothered about retraining adults to be able to replace their existing jobs. And this is what we are partly doing on the CTE side. And the other part of the world needs to look at young kids and make sure that they are ready with the right tools to handle what will come when they will be in high school, when they will be in college and above.
Very interesting, very interesting. Who would you say, Naama, are your main kind of customers then for these products? Is it the schools buying the licenses, or the children, the parents? Yeah, who are your main customers?
So in the USA specifically, homeschooling is starting to be big. But we again took a decision that we are aligned to the traditional school system. We choose that because this system is very, it's based on certification and based on standardization. And there is an enormous team that is working to adjust the underlying platform so that they will enable us to address the future jobs. So the public education world, especially in the USA, is based on different segments with lots of people that each contribute their part into making sure that we are prepared for the future. And when our platform align with all these underlying certification and standardization, we know that we are doing our job correctly, and we don't need to invest these resources out of our team. So our main customer are schools, from preliminary school into colleges and university. We work with districts. We are working on a state level. Outside of USA, we are working with countries that would like to change completely their rating of level of education, or part of the rating to increase their technological education, etc.
Okay, very, very, very interesting. I mean, when you speak with schools or government entities, colleges, universities, what's the most common kind of misconception that you experience when working with them? Maybe they reach out to you, or you reach out to them. What do those misconceptions look like?
Thank you for asking. We are a virtual platform. We are a virtual platform because we are very aware of value for money. When you are teaching STEM based on physical elements, the solution is becoming very expensive, and also there is a maintenance issue. When you are using virtual environment, you can make sure that all kids have access to the lesson.
Yeah.
that brings girls and underrepresented ecosystem up on the hill, because when you're working on group of 4, 6, 8 kids on the same environment, not always these kids will have the courage to step forward.
Yeah.
And we are making it very easy on teachers and on administration. Ever since COVID, virtual learning platform in the education system has really bad reputation. It's like kids have enough time in front of screens. Why do you put them in front of screens again? And it's very hard to explain that out of 40 minutes, 45 minutes of lesson, the kids will be on the screen for 20 minutes. They still have teamwork. They still have project. The teacher is still present. Everything is being managed as an hands-on lesson. But you give everyone a fair chance to handle the materials. So I think this is the main hurdle for us to get into more schools and to get more traction. We are offering courses, we're offering league. So once or twice a year, you can do a league of robotic. The students are playing and they are competing, but they are learning mathematics and physics and robotics, everything that they need to have in their tools while they are playing and competing.
And so would you say kind of the offering that you give, can it be tailored to be complementary to the education system that the particular school has in place, or as an additionality, or both?
So exactly both. We are adjusted to standards that are used in many states in the USA. And part of our customers are using us as part of their curriculum, part of their plan for the year. Some schools are using us as after-school activity, and that's beautiful as well. So students have access to our courses as part of after school, and they arrange leagues. And by the way, we are offering our platform in various languages. So again, looking at the USA, we have an ability to give Spanish and Portuguese speaker, ability to handle the courses and the material in their native language. That again gives them a chance to make even with other populations that have more means and more access to these learning environments.
I can imagine. I mean, somewhere in the UK, where in certain cities can be very 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 diverse, high sort of migrant populations, children that don't necessarily speak English when they first arrive. This kind of technology or approach could be very very beneficial, because like you said, it's putting everyone on the same equal kind of footing and platform. And I think that's a really interesting point about kind of equality, because as far as I've seen as an educator, um, with young people today, um, if I track back on my own personal experience, I remember like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we had floppy disks. Yeah, we were using floppy disks for there were no USBs at that point, but we used computers, and computers were a very strong, important part of the curriculum and learning for students. And I think we were taught quite well how to use computers, how to use basic IT skills. I fast forward to today, kind of expect every child to be the same, have that same kind of footing in understanding how to use a computer. But actually, what I've seen in some communities, it's not quite so. All students say when they get to 16, they're fantastic on operating an iPhone, operating social media, TikTok, Instagram, but ask students to do basic IT skills, open a Word document, create an Excel spreadsheet, screenshot. You'd be very surprised how many students actually struggle with those skills. And I'm just wondering, do you get much much feedback from the schools that you work with about the kind of use cases and the I suppose the learning development of students, over the period that you're working with these schools?
So I'm more worried about how they will reserve the train ticket, how they will operate the bank transactions. Look, when we were younger, people were doing it for us. Now you need to understand how to communicate with machines. When
Yeah.
you talk to Siri, when you talk to other tools, you are talking in machine language. You are not talking in your own language. This
Mm,
is the world that we are living at. Our world is about a very tight communication between
mm,
human being and robotics, and it will not go away. It will only get more and more frequent. And
mm,
yes, some machines will learn some dialects and will learn some of the way that humans are thinking. But come
mm.
on, for the next decade or 2 decades, we will need to work harder. I don't know when we will stop typing, okay,
Yeah.
commands. And I don't know when we will be able to talk to a machine like we talk to a human being. And
Yeah.
I don't know where translation will enable us to talk in the same language. And
Mm,
even if we talk in the same language, think about how many phrases means something in UK and a
yeah.
completely different something in the USA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we still have a long way to go. And
Mm,
again, this is our emphasis, the skills, the competencies that give students the confidence to handle the future world and the tools to handle the future world. And definitely, this is also what we are hearing from our schools and the teachers. They are amazed on the fact that kids are really engaged into the materials that they learn
mm,
because it is handed in a way that is very engaging. It's all gamified and it is all speaking their language without skipping the learning part. And
mm,
B, they are happy that the teachers are happy that there is no extra effort needed from their side. The full curriculum is ready. All the quizzes are ready. If somebody asks you what is the grade of this kid, you see it immediately in the system. You don't need to
yeah.
have other systems. And our pride and joy is when some district in Texas that has a lot of immigrants
Mm,
send us a message of, you know who is the kid of the month? It's this kid that speaks only Spanish.
yeah.
And after school, he was all the time doing the Code Z courses, and he won the kid of the month for the achievement that he got around it.
Wow.
This is our
Yeah.
mission. This is
Yeah.
what we're here to do
Yeah.
because there are 10-20% of the population that don't need us. They will
Mm,
have access to everything. Their parents are aware, their parents are capable. They don't need us. But there
mm,
are 80% that don't get the chance, that don't get the ability to get to the tools, or even when they are getting to the tools, the right guidance. And
mm,
this is what we want to do with
mm,
and without AI,
yeah.
to enable more and more kids to secure their future while not giving up their childhood.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing. And that's, I mean, it is quite scary, even at present, how much of a child's success is dependent on their parents' income, right? The socio-economic, household that they that they're within. And I do believe, the examples you've given, like the virtual learning, it allows students to bypass that because if, for example, a school wants to do, I don't know, like a trip to a law court, a prison, or wherever it might be, a trip somewhere, right? And it's going to incur a cost. and they're going to have to pass that down to parents and children. Some children inevitably won't be able to attend, but if you can put that into a virtual arena and everyone has the opportunity to be there, then no one is missing out, right? And that's
this is
the
what we
power.
have done with Amazon during COVID time. We got financing to imitate Amazon warehouse. We have a course that you are the one driving the robots to fetch items from the warehouse into the entry for the delivery. It's a one-on-one imitation of Amazon warehouse, and it's an amazing project that connect kids to industry, to manufacturing, to how it is being done, and let them think how to code the robot so that it will not miss the package and it will bring it on time to the delivery desk.
Yeah, amazing. What advice would you give to schools that are looking to bring in more AI, bring in more kind of robotics courses such as what yourselves offer? What advice would you give them?
AI is heavy on the education system, and I think the only way to handle it is on a state level. And we are talking to several states already. And even we see that one state is approaching the other, and they are doing some kind of a shared project in order to quickly digest what we want to take out of the AI, where we need to put boundaries so this innovation will not hurt us back, and how to start building an environment that takes schools and the education system into the future. We don't want to see schools that are, robotics and computer-based. We want to see an ecosystem of kids continue being loud and cheering up and doing what kids needs to do. We want to see teachers at their comfort zone, getting the tools that they need. And my vision is that we will stop seeing gifted and granted schools and kids that are going to schools for kids that are being behind. I want to see a diversified ecosystem of kids, like in life, and not give up the ability to push this kid to a level of 50 in mathematics and physics, and that kid to a level of 50 in art and basketball, and still having them all part of the same ecosystem. The kids that are going into environment of gifted kids, you put them on a pre-designed road, and you take away part of their childhood. And it's not the way it's supposed to be. And we can do that with a good use of AI.
That's a beautiful vision. Yeah, I love that. Well, with that said, what does the next sort of 5-10 years look like for yourself and Robo Group getting there for our young people?
So I think that in the next 2 years, we will shape our AI methodology. We are looking into tools and have partnership with psychological bodies that can identify learning patterns in human being, and that is like cracking the DNA in the medicine world that we talked about in the beginning. If I know your learning habits versus my learning habits, and I can build like the template, then I know how to push you to your limits versus what I need to go through in order to push me to the limits. We're talking about ability to collect or understand new information, to process new information, and to communicate the processed information. And each one of us have different skills on this level. Once we understand this basic pattern, we can understand which students needs more help in explaining the new input, which students you just present the topic and then you go into processing, and which students need more help on the output level. And that will enable us to push students to their capabilities and still keep the class as one class.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? When you present that, I think any head teacher, any principal, you know, when they hear that well, that's the kind of promise, then I think it's an easy buy-in, right? Who doesn't want that for their children, right? Who doesn't want that for their own child, for the children in the school? That's exactly the kind of future that we want. We want to get away from the Victorian style mass, you're all fit into one box type education system.
Yeah.
Well, Naama, I mean, if any teachers, business owners, people related to government education entities want to reach you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yes, so I can leave my email, definitely. It's nsaar@intellitech.com. And I would urge people to look at us at coders.com on the internet, in our LinkedIn, in Coder Z. We are publishing there a lot of the thought leadership, a lot of ideas, a lot of case studies of what being happening in the world, and our Intellitech website, so intellitech.com, that talks about the full journey from STEM to CTE. And we will be happy to speak at every event and meet at every forum that is taking actual steps toward the future.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'll put your contact details below. So anyone that wants to reach out directly, I'll put those there, and the website details. But this has been a fantastic, eye-opening conversation, Naama. Thank you very, very much for joining us
I
today.
enjoyed every minute of it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening.